Welcome back. I hope everything is well with you right now. We're just hanging out and just going to say hi everybody out there. We're doing today add, subtract, multiply, divide polynomials. And what we have here is a lot of stuff that I think you already know, a lot of repeat stuff, and we're just going to go through it. You probably could do most of these notes without me, but we're going to take a look at it real quick and see how it goes. And when we're adding polynomials, one of the big factors here, one of the things that's important is that we line up like degrees. And so the 3's and the 3's go together, and the 2's and the 2's go together. And you see we have 0x here. We don't actually have an x here. So you're going to add that to 4. And then you add the constants together. So we end up here with 4x. And when I add 3x to the third plus 1x to the third, it's 4x to the third. See how that's a 1x? When I add these two together, I get a negative 7x squared. And when I add these two together, well, that's 0, so it's just 4x. And when I add these, I get minus 3. And so that's one way to do it. The horizontal version of that looks like this. And so you have to be a little bit careful. 2y to the third goes with, oh, there's no y to the thirds over here. So it's just 2y to the third. 7y squared minus 4y squared is plus 3 squared, 3y squared. And negative 6y plus 3y is negative 3y. And there's no constants over here, plus negative 9. Now that one's easy because it's adding, and there's a plus sign in the middle. When it's subtracting, it gets a little bit more difficult. Let's take a look at A here, and we can see where it might get a little more difficult. 7x cubed minus 6x cubed, not so bad. Okay, if I set it up vertically like this, 7x cubed minus 6x cubed is going to leave me with just x cubed. My pencil seems a little fat. Let me see how this looks. But when we do negative 6x squared, you see this negative is going to go whoop, and it's going to go that whoop right over there to that negative 3. This becomes a negative 3. Well, I think there's an error in the notes. Let's pretend that that says 2 there. I'm sure that's what they meant. A negative 3x squared. Oh, that's worse. Let's go back to the big pen. So now I have negative 6x squared minus 3x squared is negative 9x squared. And the negative 7x, well, that negative goes whoop right over here again and makes that a plus 7x. And so with the negative, you got to be a little bit careful. I'm sure you guys have dealt with that concept before. The negative is now going to go to the 5, and it's going to be a minus 5. So 7 minus 5 is plus 2. Let's take a look at B, and then you guys can do one for yourself. On the B, 8x squared minus 12x squared, well, that's a negative 4x squared. 8x squared minus minus, that's where it's tricky. Minus, see the negative has to go to the 12, but it also has to go over here to the 9 and to the 3. So it ends up being minus 12x squared, but plus 9x and plus 3. And so when I combine my like terms, I get negative 5x plus 9x is a 4x, and 11 plus 3 is 14. Okay? Get that out of the way. Can you guys go ahead and take a moment, pause the video, and do checkpoint 1 and 2? All right, welcome back. I'm going to combine my like terms here. So 8t minus, there's no 8t over here. So 8t is going to stand alone, and it's going to be a positive 8t. It's going to be plus. 6 plus 7 That's 13. All right. Negative 5t squared minus, right? Oh, look what I did. I already made a mistake right here. Look at this. Oh, let's get my eraser out. Let's see what I have. Eraser all over that stuff, messed up. Back to the other side of the pencil. I have 6 minus 7. See how that's 6 minus 7? That's a negative 1 right there. Negative 5t squared plus 3t squared, because a negative negative make a positive, is minus 2t squared. I'm trying to write these in order. And I have a negative 2t cubed to start. So negative 2t cubed minus 2t squared plus 8t plus negative 1. On the next one here, I hope this one looks like it's a little better shape. So 4p squared plus 8p squared is 12p squared. Negative 6p and negative 7p is 13p. And negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. The second one obviously easier than the first. Take a look at example 3. Multiplying. Multiplying is a whole different ball game. You have to be very careful when multiplying. I'm not too keen on this method of multiplying. I don't really like that so much. What I would rather see is something more like you have here in B. But what I would do is this. I'm going to do mine right over here. And you guys can, if you're interested in their way, you can look that up in your textbook. But I think this way is probably best. And the sound effects are much cooler in my way anyways. So let's see what we have here. When I have it like this, what I'm going to do is take my X and go whoop. Let's switch color real quick so you can see what I'm doing. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And so now I have X cubed plus 2x squared minus 5x. And then you take the 3 there, and it's a negative 3, so it's whoop, negative 3x squared, whoop, negative 6x, whoop, plus 15. You see how they're both negative, so it's plus 15. And then you take that whole thing and you combine your like terms. So I only have 1x cubed, so it stands alone. But I have 2x squared minus 3x squared minus x squared, negative 5x minus 6x, negative 11x, and plus 15. And I like that way much better than their way. Multiplying 3 binomials, not so tough. You just put big parentheses around 2 of them, FOIL 2 of them, and then multiply them just like you would normally do. So the FOIL of that first would get me x squared. Outsides would get me 7x. I'll run out of room here. Insides minus 3x. And last minus 21. All right. And then if I take and combine my like terms, I'm going to do it over here. X squared plus 4x minus 21. And I multiply that by x plus 1. I give it a whoop, whoop, whoop. And that got me an x cubed plus 4x squared minus 21x. And then I give it a whoop, whoop, whoop. And that's multiplying 1 by everything. I add another x squared in there. And a 4x. And a minus 21. Combine your like terms, and you end up with x to the third plus 5x squared minus 17x minus 21. So you have to be very careful, and you have to make sure every piece gets multiplied by every other piece. That is important. Let's take a look at some special product patterns that we have. We've kind of learned about some of these already, these special product patterns. The sum and difference looks very similar to, it's a special product, but we know when we were factoring, that was a difference of squares. And so if I were to multiply these out, look what happens. X squared outside minus 2x, inside plus 2x. Oops. Those things just eliminate each other. Last minus 4. This part kind of disappears, and you end up with x squared minus 4. The square of a binomial, guys, I don't know if I'd memorize that. I would just call it y plus 4 times y plus 4. That's all I would do. And if you did that, y plus 4 times y plus 4, and FOILed it out, you would come up with the right answer every time. Y squared plus 8y plus 16. It's probably the best way to do it. Would keep you out of a lot of trouble. Same thing here. You would just separate those into 2 and FOIL. Best way to do it. But I would also agree with that on the cube of the binomial. Just make it x plus 1 times x plus 1 times x plus 1. And do the first two just like we did before, and then do the third one. Do the same thing with the cube here and the minus. I wouldn't use their pattern very often. It's very tough to memorize. We will talk about it in class, but it's very tough to memorize, and I would probably go with this route if I were you. Let's take a look at example 5 here, and really the whole last page. In example 5, you have those special products. You see, one's a minus, one's a plus. So we're going to have 7m squared minus 3 squared. 49m squared minus 9. The other two, again, are those, they want you to use those special formulas. I would just simply multiply 4t cubed plus 6 times 4t cubed plus 6. And I would do my first 16t to the 6th power. My outsides, 24t to the 3rd. My insides, 24t to the 3rd. And my last, 36. Now, I will come up with the right answer here. I won't have to memorize anything. I can save my brain for important stuff like what's the date of prom this year and what is my best friend's phone number. I don't have to waste memory space on this kind of stuff. So that's exactly how I would do that problem. Same thing on C. I would write it out 3 times and multiply it together. Go ahead and do the checkpoint. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Pause, do it. I'll give you the answers, and we can go over it tomorrow. All right, here are our answers. We have 6x to the 3rd minus 9x squared minus 11x plus 10. Hope you had that. We knew it had to end in a plus 10 anyways. You had a negative 2 times a negative 5. That had to end in a plus 10. Number 4, x cubed plus 2x squared minus 33x minus 90. Number 5, 36 q squared minus 36qr plus 9r squared. And on number 6, I hope this was a long one, I bet. For those of you who did this, put a lot of work into it, I know. Be ready. There'll be one like this on the test. Plus 150m plus 125. For those of you who can't read that, I'll read it to you. 8m cubed, 60m squared, plus 150m plus 125. Thank you very much. We'll talk about any questions you have. Make sure you're putting those little question marks next to the things you don't understand, and I will talk about those tomorrow.